Oh, hi guys. Welcome to the latest episode of Cricket Draft Insight. Today I'd like to talk about a few players who I think have been a bit underused this season, rather unfortunate not to have played more for their counties. The first player is Tom Moores of Nottinghamshire. Now, he did quite well in pre-season. I know that he doesn't have an amazing career record, not in first-class cricket, but I thought he looked like he was kicking on, being quite dynamic with his batting. But he lost out to Joe Clark originally, hasn't featured much in the county championship, did play, I think, as a batter for a bit. But in the One Day Cup, he did all right. He's got a decent record there. He scored quickly at a healthy strike rate. His scores, I think, were sort of between 20 and 40 all the time. But he was in that middle order, coming in later on, giving the score a bit of a boost. So he did well there in that competition. And like I say, I think a bit unfortunate not to have played more in the county championship. They put the burden of wicket keeping on Joe Clark at times. I think Shadendorf has played recently. But first up, Tom Moores. Like I say, doesn't have an amazing record, but I did feel was just on the up, and I just feel he was taken out of the team at the wrong time. The next player is Kent's Marcus O'Riordan. Really good example of somebody who I think has been both underused and misused. In the T20s, so he was batting at free, shouldn't be batting at free in T20s, but he did all right with his spin bowling. He's had some good performances in the second 11, wickets, 50 pluses. I think there was a double 100. It might have been earlier this season, might have been last season. In the One Day Cup, he opened. I'm not sure he should be opening there, but as an all rounder, an off spinning all rounder who can bat, I really think he could contribute. And I think 4 or 5 and bowling a healthy amount of overs. And I think he could do that in the county championship too. If you look at Kent, Matthew Parkinson hasn't excelled as a spinner. I don't think they played Kadri. And there was a time where Jack Leaning was injured, and I thought it was set up well for O'Riordan to have an opportunity. And then from O'Riordan's perspective, Leaning came back at the wrong time. And then at times he's filled in as an opener, and I'm not sure he's quite up to that. And I know you could say you're a bit protected, a bit safe in the middle order. But if we look at somebody like Don Bess and how he's evolved as a player, with bat and ball, I do feel that O'Riordan, middle order and bowling, we've seen how the Kookaburra ball's gone. I do think he hasn't played much for Kent in the grand scheme of things, and when he has, I just don't think he's being used appropriately. The next player is Sussex's Sean Hunt, so a left-arm seamer, which provides variety. When he's had opportunities in the county championship, he's taken them. He finished last season strongly. He was unfortunate to miss out at the start of the season. When he's played this season, he's done well, yet he still misses out. They've got a reasonable sort of, don't know if it's an embarrassment of riches, but some good bowlers, obviously, at Sussex. But I still feel that left-arm variety and what Hunt has achieved, like he should definitely have been playing more for Sussex in the county championship, though admittedly they've done quite well, haven't they? But I do think he should have played more. Staying on the Sussex theme, I'm a huge John Simpson fan. So pleased that he played for England. He was an integral part of my cricket draft county championship side a couple of years ago, and he has been fantastic this season. But it has, of course, been at the expense of Ollie Carter, who's a decent player, one of many young English wicketkeepers. And he's had to miss out. It was quite straightforward what was going to happen. Simpson's come in as captain and led the side well, of course. But it has had significant consequences for Carter's playing time. There was a really good knock, I think, at 96 at one time when he opened the batting in the county championship. But he's been carried around, carrying the drinks, sort of 12th, 13th player. So just a shame, because decent player, decent record, and has just been, a reserve fill-in player this season. Roman Walker at Leicestershire is another one. Did finally get a bit of game time in the One Day Cup and did all right. I think played 3 or 4 games, took a few wickets, can bat a bit, but has never been able to really own a place since leaving Glamorgan a few years ago. They got sort of decent sort of all-rounders, bowling all-rounders, you Ben Mike, Tom Scriven types, and Walker just hasn't been able to get in there, along with sort of the other combinations of bowlers, maybe get accommodating a spinner as well. But he's not a bad player. I was pleased to see him get a little bit of game time in the One Day Cup. Obviously gone a bit of a curious loan spell to Warwickshire, hasn't he? But just another season, really, where in the grand scheme of things, extremely limited opportunities. Oliver Gibson is one at Durham. Don't think he's featured at all. He did play on that pre-season tour of Zimbabwe. I think he's 24, so he's not a kid. They've had quite a lot of young bowlers appear, the likes of Hogg. I don't think we've seen much of Robinson this season. So I'm not sure what the future holds for Gibson. Not sure if he's out of contract. I'm speculating like he hasn't. I don't think he's had a game all season. So I was wondering if he might be on his way out. And I just wondered actually if Yorkshire, because if Fisher's leaving and Edwards, I assume, is leaving, and Milne's injury, I know Alex Wade is coming on, but Yorkshire need to strengthen, need a bit more. They've got some all-rounders, but they need a bit of bowling depth, and I did just wonder if Oliver Gibson was a sensible one. He might not be the biggest name, but just a sensible one to bring in some numbers, across the competitions. But we'll see what happens there. Oliver Gibson, like I said, I don't think he's appeared for Durham at all. The other player I'd like to talk about, I don't know if I dare say his name because I'm going to get it horribly wrong. Tilan Walalawita, young Sri Lankan man who came to Middlesex, came to England a few years ago, and played a few games, did all right. And in the second 11, like he scored 100 not long ago, and I think he was the second leading wicket taker in the second 11 championship. Like, he hasn't played at all. He hasn't played. He played, I think, a T20, maybe a T20 game or two last year. He hasn't played first class or list A cricket since 2022. Now, obviously, Middlesex had the cares. I think they started with the cares and he dropped out. Holman did well in the T20 Blast, got himself in the county championship side. The cares has come back in as well. No opportunity for Walalawita. So what does the future hold for him? You would imagine sensible thing would be to try somewhere else. Again, I don't know his contract specifics, but a good young player, good record, clearly done well in the second 11. Like a few of these players I'm talking about, but this season, no first team opportunities. So it's just a few players that haven't had much game time this season that I don't think are bad players, that I think have something to offer, that I think could have played more. And if they're available, some counties maybe should be looking at those players to sign for next season. Please let me know what you think. Are there any players out there for your county or any players you just like in general that just haven't had the chances you think they merit this season? Let me know in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching. How's that?